could be alone between city lights. We don't have to hide. I wanna go, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? I can't understand why we can't hold hands, but they don't know what we have is real love. Aren't you sick and tired of having to hide? I know a place, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow?
What's up, you guys? Welcome to the stream. Oh, wow. Oh, there we go. I usually take a minute and make next week's live stream while the intro's playing, but I was too busy pouring this beautiful, beautiful. Oh, how can you not love an IPA? Am I just such a good golden citrus hops? So good, so good. Got a little distracted there. Okay, May 24th. That'll be the next news live stream. All right. Yeah, and then visibility May 24th at 6 p.m. Boom, done. All right. There we go. Welcome to the stream, everybody. Now that that's done, that's out of the way. Oh, that was not what I was expecting. I was expecting it to be a little more sort of fruity. It had a little bit more of a bitter hoppiness. I mean, it's an IPA, so it was going to be at least a little bitter. Interesting. This is Fleur Session IPA from it's a session IPA. That means it's only 4.5% alcohol. From Quebec. Thank you to Rodolphe Lachement. I hope I've not mispronounced your name too badly, Rodolphe. He brought me several beers from Quebec when he came to Rampage, and this is one of the ones he brought me. So thank you there. Welcome to the live stream, everybody. It is Sunday afternoon, and that is the perfect time to sit down. Not to be outside flying. No, not in this. I got to change my live stream time. I'm not going to do that. Don't freak out. I got to change my live stream time to, I don't know, like only days when it's raining. It is killing me now that it's summer, now that it's spring, that these gorgeous sunny days, warm, get up on a Sunday afternoon, make breakfast for my kids or whatever. And then I go, okay, well, now I'm just going to spend the next 2 hours live streaming. I don't want to sound ungrateful, but my God, it's gorgeous out. And, I mean, now that it's summer, it's good because it stays sunny till like 8:30. So that's nice. That's nice. IPA, India Pale Ale. I like an IPA. I like an IPA. That's got a real bite. That's got a real bite to it. That's unexpected. It'll take a minute to get used to. But I'm going to get used to it because, you know, I'm not throwing it out. Devil says, some of us have to work when the sun is out. Yeah, I know. It sucks to be you. It sucks for you. You sit inside at your desk all day. Wait a minute. I also sit inside at my desk all day. What's my excuse? I'm self-employed. I really got to re-examine my whole life. Huh. Yeah, I have no excuse. I mean, you're just like a wage slave. I guess I'm also a wage slave. I'm just both the slave and the master. I don't know. I feel like we're treading on dangerous ground here. Oh, man. Welcome everybody to the live stream. It's good to be back. We missed last weekend because I was at Rotor Riot Rampage. I had a good time. You know, I every time I go, I try and push myself a little bit more. I try to be a little bit better than I was last year. And then I see some SOB like Mr. Steele tear it up and go, oh, I stumbled across Mr. Steele's TikTok showing a rip he did at Rampage, and I didn't realize it was him because I was just swiping through TikTok. And I was like, oh, this guy's good. Oh, this guy's really tearing it up. I was like, man, people have gotten good. I was actually a little bit relieved when I saw that it was Steele. I actually stitched it. I was like reacting to it. I was like, man, whoever this guy is, he's good. People are getting real good these days. And someone in the comments was like, Mr. Steele. And I was like, yeah, Mr. Steele's good too. But this guy, he's doing oh, and then I realized, oh, this is Mr. Steele. And then I was a little relieved because like Mr. Steele tears it up and I'm like, wow, he's good. That's not news. That's not new information. But if just some punk out there I've never heard of is that good, you know, what's my excuse? Oh, well. That's got some bite. That's got some bite. I do not have a towel today. I looked around the room. There was no towel, so I'm using a t-shirt that I had. Sometimes when I get halfway through recording a video and have to stop for the night, I leave my t-shirt downstairs so that I can put the shirt back on so my clothes don't change in the middle of the video. A little glimpse behind the scenes there. Thank you, Looney 2010. Just enjoy flying. You are correct. That's what we need to do, is we just need to have a good time and enjoy yourself. If you're not having fun, you know, what are you doing? I remind myself of that constantly. Anybody I saw at Rampage, it was good to meet you. If you were at Rampage and I didn't meet you, not sure how that happened, but glad you were there. I've been really enjoying seeing all the footage that people posted. All the different, it's always different. It's always fun to see a whole bunch of people fly the same location and see what lines they make and stuff. So very excited about that. I got an idea for next year. I pitched it. I don't know if they're going to do it. Next year, I want to do a a bounty hunt, not a bounty hunt, a scavenger hunt, you know? But the scavenger hunt is tricks. So like before Rampage, I want Rotor Riot to post like a list of, I don't know how many, 10, 20, 50 tricks that you can do at the site. And then like people should post YouTube videos of them doing the tricks. And I don't know, there should probably be a prize. I thought that would be so cool and would inspire everybody to get different, you know, just to get out of their comfort zone. I think it's pretty cool. Cool Cat wants to know, why do people drink from jam jars these days? I don't get it. Did I miss some fashion emergence? So this is a mason jar, for what it's worth. It's a mason jar, not a jam jar. You can put jam in it. I get it. I have drunk out of mason jars. I mean, if you can things, I don't can things. I went through a period where I was doing a lot of canning and preserving back when I had a garden. These days I have drones, and they don't really go with canning very well. But, you know, you end up with a shitload of mason jars, and then, you know, you just use them as glasses. What's the big deal? Cool Cat. I did. FPV News was big. I had 1.3 thousand viewers at one point. Probably the biggest live stream I've ever had. One of the biggest for sure. Too bad there were technical difficulties. Hopefully today there won't be any technical difficulties. Comcast really let me down, or I was being hacked because they don't want you to know the truth. I don't know which of those two things it is. One of the two. But so far we're looking good today. Very, very much looking forward to more information coming out about the Avatar goggles and the DJ. I mean, I think it's going to be a while before we have the full picture of what's going on with the DJI system, the Caddx, etc. I really thought we had it mostly figured out. And I say that like it's very difficult to explain to you guys what it means when we get a source that we can't share. By we, I mean mostly me and Blunty, but I've also been talking to Chris Rosser and Madstech, who have been digging into this problem, this question. It's really difficult because, like, obviously I don't want to just share a random, made-up, unreliable piece of information that just to get clicks, despite the fact that some may feel that, you know, YouTubers just release stuff, you know, fake news and so forth. At the same time, if I only released 100% verified official statements, then I wouldn't be providing any extra value. So it's difficult to walk that line. And like a lot of the times, the people who are leaking this information are people with business ties to the companies in question. And therefore, the reason they want the information to stay private is that they don't want to jeopardize their business relationship with the companies in question. So when a person comes and says, look, I was doing some kind of business deal with company X, and as part of that deal, we discussed this aspect of the product, and I want to tell you that. Like that to me, if I know that person and I know they are who they say they are, and I believe that they're not just like making this stuff up because, like, you know, for whatever reason, then I'll share that information. Sometimes that information turns out to be wrong or incomplete, and it's really tricky. I say that I'm thinking about this right now because I thought we had a pretty complete picture of the whole DJI walk snail thing. Caddx, walk snail, etc., Fat Shark, Avatar, yada. I thought we had mostly got it figured out. And then I asked Caddx for a statement, and they said everything's fine with DJI, and they're going to keep giving us the V2 goggles. And I reported a leak from someone who was in a meeting with someone at DJI, and that person said that the V2 goggles were ending. And those two pieces of information are completely contradictory. They cannot both be true. And I'm like, oh, well, shoot. I thought we pretty much had it figured out. But now, I mean, Caddx has been so consistent in their messaging that Caddx has said, we will keep making the Vista. And I'm like, I don't think you ever made the Vista. DJI. And Cadix is like, no, we make the Vista. We're going to keep making it. I'm like, well, do they make the Vista? What am I missing here? There's something I'm missing. And then Cadix said the V2 goggles, yeah, no, DJI was going to cancel them. They sure would have told us. I was like, are you and DJI still talking? I thought they were, like, mad at you because of the whole Walksdale thing. Nah, we're good. And I'm like, well, shit. I don't know. Just do the best you can. Somebody reminded me. Somebody reminded me. Even when you have official, on-the-record public statements from DJI, sometimes they turn out to be wrong. DJI is a big company, and a lot of times, if you're talking to one manager, they may tell you what they think is true, and it may turn out that, some other department makes a different decision, and that information is invalid. An example of this is what happened with DJI Aeroscope. There was a question of whether the DJI Aeroscope transmissions were encrypted or not. And those transmissions, if unencrypted, could let third parties know the location of DJI drones. And of course, this was all in the context of the conflict in Ukraine. And a DJI manager, high up, I don't know his exact position, I'm sorry, I don't remember at this moment, but a high up person in the USA at DJI said, I have checked with the engineering team, they are encrypted. And then after some pressure, it came out that no, they weren't encrypted. And I 100% believe that this guy was telling the full truth as he believed it, and he just wasn't being given the full story by DJI back in China. And my point is that if official word from DJI isn't 100% reliable, then you got to take leaks with a grain of salt. But I'm still going to tell you the leaks. Anyway. All right, I'm not going to spend the whole live stream talking about that one topic, but I did want to kind of get that out. We won't know what's up for now. We just have to do our best. In that vein, I want to announce for the first time right now that myself, Chris Rosser, and Ian Lewis, Mads Tech, are going to be doing an AMA. We're going to be hosting an AMA on r/FPV on Reddit about this topic. And I am inviting, I saw their videos on this topic, thought they were very well researched, and thought, if people have questions and you can't get answers from an official source, then maybe we'll just do our best to tell you what we think we know at this moment and share our thoughts about it. That is scheduled 1 p.m. Eastern Time, Saturday the 28th, I think. Yes. So that's scheduled. That's going to happen. It hasn't been posted or announced yet because I've invited Fat Shark, and I've invited Cadix, and I've invited Walk Snail, and I've invited Rotor Riot to come participate. And I'm still waiting to hear from them if they're going to participate. But that's going to happen, and we can talk some more about what we think we know, and maybe, I don't know, what we don't know. Yeah. More hearsay. Yes, exactly, Devils. Well, Devils, the thing is, all we have is hearsay at this point. If that's not enjoyable for you or good enough for you, then just ignore it. But, people want to know. And if you're not digging, and thinking about what's going on, then, yeah, you can't know. Anyway, there will be an official announcement about that soon. Got a super chat here from Kilo Foxtrot. Kilo Foxtrot, thank you for a $10 super chat. By the way, I forgot to do this. I just launched right at... What the dickens? What in the hell is going on with my screen? Why? Oh. My screens are messed up. Am I going to live with this for this whole live stream? Hang on. Oh, that's the worst. There was a power glitch, and now my screens are messed up because they got unplugged and replugged, and now OBS is confused. That sucks. Center monitor, properties, display 3? No, display 2? Display 3. There we go. Is that right? Okay. All right. Okay, that's fine for now. Here's what I got going on real quick. This is you guys. I will be taking your questions here in the chat. Will It's Blunty be a part of it? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if he wants to be. T-Bird FPV. It's Blunty, of course. Yeah, he has been the source for much of this information. Yeah. It will be an AMA on r/FPV, Dave Sherman. I have been in contact with the mods of r/FPV, and it's all set. We're just waiting to confirm who is going to participate and verify their Reddit accounts. So, here's what I got going on. I'm going to be answering your questions here in the chat. I'm going to be answering these questions over here on the right side. These beautiful people are my patrons over on my Discord server. Yeah, look at that. What a nice, that's a narrow workspace. I don't know what kind of closet you're tucked into there, but go for it. And if you want to leave a super chat, hit the $ down here, type your message, and leave a super chat, and I'll read those coming up on the stream. We got a super chat for $10. $10 super chat. Thank you for your generosity. Kilo Foxtrot. First digital flight with HD0 today. The experience of flying around my house was horrible. Finally saw how clogged my gutters actually were. Now I'm on the damn roof cleaning them. Thanks, HD0. Yep, digital. You fly with digital and you will see things you never saw before. Yeah. Matthias Mavis? Matthias wants to know, as a new FPVer, should we wait this out to decide what goggles to buy? I gotta say, I kind of think you should. I honestly, it is a very weird time in FPV. And most of the time I say, and people, I'm on record. I'm not going to be able to find you a quote, but most of the time people say, should I wait or should I buy the DJI goggles V2? Should I buy the goggles? Like somebody just a month ago asked me, should I buy the goggles V2 or should I wait for the V3? And I said, look, the V3 could be 2 months away. We don't know. We don't know what it's, we just don't know. The V2 goggles are good. They're fine. You could have all summer flying the V2 goggles, or you could be waiting on tenor hooks and not knowing. And most of the time, I just say, just buy something. In this day and age, if it's in stock, just go buy it. But I got to say, at this moment now, it's a very weird time, and you might wait. Look at what we've got on deck. Right now, HD0 is going to be putting out a new goggle in the June-July timeframe, I think, is when they're supposed to have prototypes. And Carl has said essentially 100% he's going to have it out by the end of the year. Now, that's a while to wait, considering it's only May. But that goggle looks extremely interesting, the HD0 goggle. HDMI in, HDMI out, 46-degree field of view, 1080p, OLED screens, HD0 built in, but can use an analog module. For a lot of people, that HD0 goggle on paper is like the perfect goggle. Whew. DJI V3. What could it be? We don't know. No one knows. Could it be that they take some of the tech from the DJI FPV drone? And could it be that it has 1080p? Could it be that it has 2.4 gigahertz air unit? Because these are all things people have guessed. We don't know. That's mighty tempting. Fat Shark, this new avatar system, Walk Snail, Fat Shark, whoever the hell makes it. Is it going to be awesome? Is it going to be terrible? It's got a lot of potential on paper. Still some incomplete features for a firmware that's supposed to ship in June. But in the next couple months, maybe it'll turn into something really amazing. And then what's DJI going to do? What is this new avatar goggle from Walksdale? Like, there's all these questions about the relationship to DJI and how that affect Caddex's relationship with DJI? Caddex says, I don't know what you're talking about. Everything's golden, baby. I don't know. It's a very uncertain time. And I got to say, if I didn't have anything to fly at all, I probably would just go ahead and buy some goggles today. And then 6 months from now or 8 months from now, maybe you'll say, oh, you know what? I got to sell these goggles. I got to buy something else. But if you have a set of goggles that you're happy with, this could be a bad time to buy because there's so much. And I usually say, don't hold out for the future. But there's so much. And like, surely one of these is going to be, if not all of them, are going to be interesting and tempting. So I might wait. There you go. Alrighty. Good question. A lot of people asking that question, so I definitely wanted to cover it. I got a question here in the Discord. I always pay attention to the Discord during my streams because the Discord server is full of my patrons. Patreon is a website. If you're on the internet, surely know about Patreon. It's a website where you can subscribe to me for as little as $2 a month or more if you feel like I've earned it. The amount is totally up to you. If you enjoy my content, if you get value from it, and if you want to make it possible for me to continue making content instead of having to go get a real job, you can join my Patreon. And as one of the benefits, you get to hang out on my Discord server with all these other beautiful people, and I read your comments in live streams and at other times. So thank you so much, Nice Sub, for being a patron. There's a link down in the video description if you decide that today is the day you want to sign up. And I always say, if today's not the day, I'll keep doing my thing, and hopefully that day will come. What is a Patreon? Mike Bergman, surely you know. Surely you know. Right, Mike? You've been here for a while. This question from Nice Sub is, I moved to Edge TX and Express LRS in one go. The drone was initially tuned and flown with the Archer RS from FreeSky, and no problems were observed. When I made the switch, I started experimenting, and I turned the baud rate up to the max on my X10 Express and 500 hertz refresh rate on Express LRS. What I observed is that my drone started wobbling at idle throttle. Excuse me, pardon me. Oh, so unseemly. Burping on a stream. I'm sorry I've offended so many of your poor ears. It's some sort of motor oscillation you can hear and see on the goggles, but when I turn the baud rate down to 400K, all issues were gone. I wonder why that is. Nice Sub, my guess, I mean, good experimentation by changing the baud rate. The essence of troubleshooting is change one variable at a time and see what happens, and try and build a correlation. My guess is that your radio can't truly handle 5.25 megabauds. And you're getting corruption in your signal between the radio and the module, which is making your channels like jittery, perhaps. FPJV suggests that you apply the RC smoothing presets on 4.3. That is true. That is true. Nice Sub says he's still on 4.2. My guess, though, is that you're getting a little bit of signal corruption. I wonder if you were to look in Black Box at your RC command, would you see your RC command jumping around at 5.25 megabaud? I bet you could find a happy medium between 400K baud and 5.25 megabaud. Like when I turned one of my radios all the way up to 5.25 megabaud, I don't remember which radio it was. When I turned it all the way up to 5.25 megabaud, like it wouldn't talk to the module anymore. Like it just literally couldn't handle that bit rate. So that's what I would probably do if I were you, is turn that up from 400K a step at a time and see what happens. And if you really want to dig into it, you can look at RC command in the Black Box log, if that's what you're interested in doing. Wow. Okay. That's a harsh comment. Okay. That's a harsh comment. I don't know what's going on there, but DC asks, does increasing the baud rate above the minimum have any benefit? Yes, DC. The faster the baud rate you use in EdgeTX, the lower the latency. The baud rate reduces the latency of the link between the radio and the module. So that's just one part of the total control loop latency. The faster that goes, the lower the latency. It shaves a few milliseconds of latency off. Let's see here. Alrighty, there we go. We'll take one more from the Discord, from the patrons over on the Discord. I've got a question. I have a few GoPro sessions. Ooh, GoPro sessions. Session 4. Oh, session 4. No, no slam on the session 4, but the session 5 is the one everybody's super excited about. Is the Runcam Orange 4K going to be an upgrade, or should I just keep flying with what I got? So, Alpha Sloth, I have to say, I haven't personally flown the Hero 4 session, only the Hero 5. So I can't say for sure from direct experience. The Runcam Orange is going to have a very different color profile. I would guess, in general, that a GoPro is going to have better dynamic range than the Runcam. The Runcam is going to be a little more contrasty and a little bit harder to color grade. GoPro has pretty decent color science for a camera that small. If all you do is record and then like maybe cut it up a little and put it on YouTube, then probably the Runcam is fine. The Session 4 is also going to be fine though. You might think that the Runcam is going to be much better because it's going to be higher resolution, but resolution's not like the be-all, end-all of image quality. And like I would ask Alpha Sloth what you're looking for in an upgrade at that point. Like, why are you thinking of upgrading? Bannister Post wants to know if I want to do more skids and perches, should I put air mode on a Switch? Yes. Let's continue reading the super chats. We have had more super chats come in. Thank you guys for your... there are a lot of generous super chats too. Really appreciate you guys' generosity today. Orange Julius, thank you for $10 super chat. I have a Runcam link and I can only get it to go to 25 milliwatts. No options for anything higher than that. Orange Julius, the number one reason why Runcam or any DJI would only go to 25 milliwatts is that it is activated in the EU. And you can do the FCC hack to undo that. That's what I would do. If I had a DJI unit that only did 25 milliwatts, I would do the FCC hack. And you can just look up how to do an FCC hack. 3FPV, thank you for 100. South African Rand. Do the connectors on flight controllers have a name? Yes. They are usually SH 1.0. So, here my screen is going to be messed up again. Hold on. God dang it. And I'm going to have to undo all of this the next time I start OBS after I reboot my computer. Sadly. There we go. Anyway. Like, for example, this cable set has the JST-SH and JST-GH and Molex Picoblade connectors, which are the most common connectors used. But what you probably want is the JST-SH. However, I'm not sure they go up to 14. I think they only go up to 10. Let's see. 12 by 150, that's the wires. They go up to 12 pin. They don't go to 14 pin. But they do have the pre-crimped wires. And this, I always keep some of these on hand. You can always just buy, like if we go to DigiKey and we just search for SH 1.0, JST SH 1.0, no results. Great, thank you. Super. JST SH. Come on. Why? Okay. Surely they must sell these. They must sell these. Well, okay, so I guess it's not going to be that simple. Lame. JST series is going to be SH. Come on. SH. Spacing 1 millimeter, pitch. Number of positions 14. Oh, we got this. We got this. Number of rows 1. Apply. Come on, baby. No, that's surface mount. Shut up. Ah. That's the right connector, but it's the surface mount connector, not the plug. You need the plug. I'm in headers, male pins. Oh, I see. I want... anyway, you can see what I'm doing. You got to find the plug. Okay, well, I'm not going to do this anymore on the live stream, but that's what you're going to need to do, I suppose, if you want to find that 14-pin version. Ken Herron, thank you so much for a $10 super chat. It was fun watching you break my build at Rampage. It was fun breaking it and fixing it and breaking it again. It was good to see you, Ken. Jimmy Nature points out that the correct name for that user is Orange U Jealous FPV, not Orange Julius. As a person who went to malls in the 90s, I will always refer to you as Orange Julius. Orange Julius. I'm sorry, that's just what you are to me now. So, yeah, Orange Jealous. I'm sorry, if you make your name too clever, long, and complicated, I will mispronounce it. I don't know. Jay Barnes FPV, thanks for a $10 super chat. I've had my main ground wire from VBAT rip loose in a crash. After repair, I get the 3 beeps from the ESC, no beeps from the flight controller. The flight controller connects to Betaflight and all is normal. Okay, so Jay Barnes, if you have a flight controller that doesn't power up from battery but does power up from USB, then the 5-volt regulator on the flight controller is usually dead. It's not 100% of the time, but that's mostly what it is. The reason it works from USB is that USB provides its own 5-volt power, so it's not, the flight controller doesn't have to rely on its built-in 5-volt regulator. I would definitely verify that there's not like a cabling problem. If the cable were to come out or something, then the flight controller wouldn't power up at all from battery. But you said it works normally on USB. And I suspect that means that the motors work. In that case, you know the cable is fine. You know it's talking to the ESC. It's just the 5-volt regulator is fried. Now, these days, I know usually I would say, oh, well, maybe you just better replace your flight controller. But these days, flight controllers are so gosh darn expensive. I want to point out that on a flight controller, if you have a 5-volt regulator, you can take any 5-volt pad and you can solder the output of a voltage regulator, a 5-volt voltage regulator, to any 5-volt pad on your flight controller, and of course ground, and you can use that 5-volt pad as an input from an external regulator. So the first thing you're going to want to do is, with a multimeter, make sure that 5-volt is actually dead. Plug in a battery, test with a multimeter, and on the 5-volt pad, you'll see 0 volts or 0.1 volts or some incorrect low number. At that point, you buy like a 2-amp 5-volt regulator, 5-volt step-down regulator, and you solder it to the 5-volt in the ground pad. And if that saves you, that used to be a $45 flight controller, and maybe you were just like, yeah, I guess I'll get a new one. But when it's an $80 flight controller, maybe that's worth the trouble. So. Alrighty. Yeah, best guess, Jay Barnes, is that when that main ground wire ripped loose, there was either a voltage spike or something touched something that shouldn't have been touched, and voltage and current went where it wasn't supposed to go, and now something is fried. Darvinder K, thank you for a $10 super chat. If I have nothing to fly, what do you recommend I buy if I want to go digital in terms of goggle? If you have nothing to fly, why would you buy goggles? I mean, the goggles that you buy is going to depend heavily on the quad that you want to fly and vice versa. Right this minute, I think I would not be in a rush to buy goggles. If you are ready to start flying and you don't want to wait, then go ahead and buy some goggles. But if you don't have anything to fly, don't buy any goggles for the quad that you don't have. This would be my advice. Alrighty. Steve Jobs, good to have you here from Beyond the Grave, sir. I'm going to talk to you about the missing headphone port on the iPhones. Would Steve Jobs have removed the headphone jack from the iPhone? Was that his decision, or did that happen after he left the company? He seems like the kind of guy who would remove the headphone jack from an iPhone and be like, "Shut up, you whiners. This is better." Kind of funny how Steve Jobs gets away with that. You know, it occurs to me that Drew Camden is getting a lot of flack for the way that he responded to questions about the Fat Shark system, saying things like, "You don't get to know everything that you want to know," and some people responded negatively to that, which obviously, you know. And but you know, like Steve Jobs, famous for being like, "F you, customers. Look at how good my product is. Don't like it? You're wrong." And everybody loved him. Why? Why did he get away with it, but Drew Camden can't get away with it? I don't know the answer to that question. It's just an interesting observation. Anyway. How much better is Fat Shark 1080p versus DJI 720p? What about the latency? Steve Jobs, when I flew the goggles, I bear in mind, I got about 2 packs on this system, and that was basically it. There were a whole bunch of people who wanted to fly it, and I didn't want to hog it. So I got like maybe 3 or 4 packs. I got a couple packs on 720 and then a couple packs on 1080 and then on with my day. So a lot remains to be seen. The increase in resolution at 1080 is very noticeable over 720. Like, there's a point of diminishing returns, absolutely. The difference between, say, 480p and 720p is massive. The difference between 720 and 1080 is noticeable. The difference between 1080 and 4K, I think, in real-world application is often not even noticeable. I mean, it depends on the size of your screen, obviously. But I think when I put the 1080 on, I was like, oh, yeah, you can see a lot more detail. So I do think it's a big jump. The latency, though, so the latency that was reported by the system for 1080 was around 40 milliseconds at the lowest. Whereas on 720, it was around 21 milliseconds at the lowest. So a significant uptick in latency, although for certain types of flying, that latency will be more than acceptable. Like, I thought that if you're not doing like ultra proximity stuff where 40 milliseconds to 50 milliseconds of latency is maybe acceptable, then that 1080p output is going to be fantastic for anybody doing live stuff that you need a good high quality feed for the TV truck or whatever. Yeah. Cyber Overkill wants to know any chances at an analog 1080p monitor being made. What about the goggle? Analog 1080p. What is analog 1080p? I know there are high definition analog protocols. I don't think any of them are being used for FPV though, so maybe I don't understand the question. Pacific Northwest Pilots wants to know, did you just compare Drew to Steve Jobs? I did. In that, the kind of attitude that Drew seemed to have towards his customers, which was like, here's a good product. Think about, at its heart, what attitude was Drew expressing in that live stream? The attitude he was expressing was, here's a product. It's a good product. If you like it, buy it. If you don't like it, that's your business. And I'm not going to tell you more. Don't buy it if you're not happy. It was a very, some people would see it as a stuck-up attitude. And it reminded me a lot of what I felt like Steve Jobs' attitude was toward his customers, which is, I know better than you. I'm making an amazing product. I think you should like it. And if you don't like it, I'm not here to cater to you and like kowtow to you. I'm here to cater to my customers who think my product is awesome. And arguably Drew has less charisma than Steve Jobs, which, Steve Jobs, say what you will about him, had a lot of charisma in a lot of ways. And arguably, the Fat Shark goggles are less of a good product than like the iPhone, which is arguably like one of the best consumer products ever made in the history of consumer products. So like, it's not a criticism to say that Drew and the Fat Shark goggles don't meet that bar. But it is interesting that there's parallels there. That's all I'm saying. Taco says Steve Jobs was ahead of the game. In this case, he's a couple steps behind. Interesting. Maybe. And then it occurs to me that there's the approach that Elon Musk takes, which is to give you a whole bunch of information, most of which is BS and lies and inaccurate. But he gives you a ton of information. Full self-driving, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2023. Anyway. I also think Drew is charming, personally. But that's just me. Super Deluxe says, but Drew didn't make anything. Super Deluxe, did Steve Jobs make anything? Steve Jobs was an engineer. Was he, though? But Steve Wozniak, I don't know the history of Apple. Even way back at the beginning, didn't Wozniak do most of the heavy lifting? And Jobs was more the marketing business guy? That's a question which many people know the answer to, and I just don't. But did Steve Jobs invent the iPhone? No. A whole bunch of engineers did all the heavy lifting. And Steve Jobs was like the CEO at the top. I know what a hands-on executive Steve Jobs is rumored to be. He insisted on certain design characteristics and sort of drove the company. And Steve Jobs absolutely gets credit for bringing Apple back from the dead. Steve Jobs was an incredibly capable executive. But when you say Drew didn't make anything, Steve Jobs didn't make anything, I would argue. And if I'm wrong, and I look dumb right now because I don't know the full history of Apple and Steve Jobs, then I accept that. But my impression is that he was an incredibly capable business person. But Steve Jobs did not make the iPhone any more than Drew made the Fat Shark Avatar goggles. He had people working for him who did all the actual work to realize the product. And then he went up on stage in his jeans and his turtleneck and said, this is the best thing ever. And that was his job. Yeah. A Philly style FPV, thanks for a $5 super chat. So DJI does 120 FPS. The new Fat Shark has 90 hertz screens. Actually, I was told 90 hertz, then other people said 100 hertz. So it's either 90 or 100 hertz. I don't know the answer. The new Fat Shark only has 90 hertz screens. Does that mean DJI will be smoother? Not sure how that works. Thanks for the explaining. Yeah, so DJI has more frames and may look smoother. I mean, 90 hertz, 120 hertz. Whether that's going to be a deal breaker, I don't know. Divad Gilbin, thank you for a $20 super chat. Very generous. Thank you so much. If I were to flip the motors from underneath my Tiny Hawk 3 to the top of the frame, do I just reverse the motors to fly, or do I need to change the prop orientation as well? Divad, the props always have to be the same orientation relative to because the props will make thrust in, so the prop orientation will stay the same. The motors will flip over, the motors will reverse, and the props need to be facing downward. Does that make sense? Okay. Baby Maker FPV. That's a great name. Baby Maker. Thanks for a $5 super chat. I've been having an incredibly hard time selling my analog quads. It's because everyone's going to digital. No. At least, I would say around half of people, roughly, still fly analog. Maybe more, maybe less. There's still a huge analog market. If you're having trouble selling analog quads, maybe you live in an area where most people have gone digital, like you live in a particularly affluent area. But probably you're just charging too much money. Or your quads are old and crappy, and you just don't realize it. Okay, now I've offended you. Sorry. I don't know, Baby Maker. It's not because people are going digital. Can't believe Bardwell just told this guy his quads were crappy. It's a live stream. We go off the cuff. There was a thread up on Beginner to FPV a few weeks ago, and I forget how they got onto the topic, but they were talking about what a jerk I am, and I don't really focus on that stuff. I'll try not to, but one of the guys participating in the thread was a person who asked me a question on the live stream, and they super chatted me and they asked a question. Basically, the question was, when I arm my quad flips out. I don't remember the exact details. And he said in the question, I've checked my motor direction, I've checked my board alignment, etc. And I replied and I was like, well, I got to tell you, most of the time when people say they've checked that stuff, it still is that problem. And so I would suggest that you go back and check it. And then I went on to say, but, from what I see in your video, maybe it could be a bad gyro or something. And apparently he got really offended by my response. Basically, he's like, I told him I checked those things. I've been doing this for years. I know what I'm doing. And he just blew me off. I felt bad about it a little bit, of course, because I'm very motivated to help people. And obviously I must be, or I wouldn't spend as much time as I do answering questions and so forth. So I feel bad when someone reaches out to me for help and then they feel like they didn't get it. I don't feel bad when someone just says Bardwell's a jerk, F Bardwell. They're probably a jerk. But if somebody says I reached out to him for help and he blew me off, then I feel bad. But I was like, number one, I don't know that you've got 10 years of experience. I don't know who you are. You're just a person who left me a super chat, unless there's someone like I know personally, like if Ken Heron or Ciotti or Mike Bergman, not Mike Bergman, I'm sorry, Mike, the guy, Chris fixes quads. If one of these guys who I actually interact with on a day-to-day basis were to ask me a question, then I would have a bit of perspective. And I would know where they were coming from. Mike Crabtree. Thank you, Jory. Sorry. Got my name mixed up. But the other thing is that if you don't do tech support, You have no idea the perspective of someone who answers 100 questions a day, every day for 3 years. You come at this problem and you're like, I check these things. And you don't know that in the last year, 50 times someone has said, yeah, my quad flips out when I arm it, and I've checked these things. And every single time, after years of troubleshooting, you've learned that you go, well, can you recheck that for me? Because of those 50 times, 20 of them, when they went back and rechecked, it turned out they hadn't done it right. And so when you come to me and you say, I'm having this problem, my quad flips out, and I check these things, and I say, well, can you recheck them? It's not because I think you're dumb. It's because statistically, it's very likely that it's one of those things. But the other thing is that, like, I feel bad because on a live stream, when you asked me a troubleshooting question, and this is what got me thinking about this. Which one was it? I forget which one got me thinking about this. You're going to get the first most obvious answer, and then I'm probably going to move on to the next question, because it's going to take 30 to 45 seconds minimum every time I ask you a question and you answer, because the live stream delay. We're probably not going to go back and forth and do a troubleshoot. Probably I'm going to thank you for your donation. I'm going to read your question. I'm going to do my best to answer it without getting any feedback from you, and then I'm going to move on, because that's how the live stream goes. But here's the thing. Here's the takeaway, and I just want to get this out there in case anybody didn't know. You can email me. You can email me. You can email me. I clear my inbox about once a day, sometimes more, occasionally less. If you want to actually engage with me personally, one-to-one on a problem, email me. And thank you I'll read your question on a live stream, and I'll take your super chat, and I'll thank you for your super chat. If you actually want to solve the problem, just email me. And that's the thing. No one should ever be like, damn it, Bardwell didn't really dig into my problem. We may be moving on the live stream, but we'll do it in email. And there's no reason to be. See, look, Maxim L, can y'all help me? I reset my flight controller config, and I don't know how to get it back. We're not going to answer that question on a live stream. It's too detailed. It wouldn't make for good, entertaining content. Not like this rant. This is good, entertaining content. But if Maxim L can't get help here on the stream, they can email me, and I will work them through. Okay. So I feel bad that guy thinks I blew him off and thinks I was a jerk to him. Unfortunately, there's nothing to do about that. When you answer 100 questions a day, there's a process. It's like when you call tech support and they say, can you turn it off and on again? Can you reboot your machine? Can you? And you're like, oh my God, I've been in IT for 15 years. I know these things. But you just go through the list with them because they don't know who the F you are. And there's a list and you got to go through the list. Anyway. But there's no excuse for me. There's no excuse for me to accuse Babymaker FPV of overcharging for his quads and selling old shitty quads that no one wants. That was just malicious, inconsiderate. Babymaker, you have every right to go talk shit about me on Facebook. Okay. And even smart people do dumb things sometimes. That's the other thing. Even smart people occasionally make mistakes, and my job as the troubleshooter is to check to see if you made those mistakes. And I'm not insulting your intelligence. I just know that no one's perfect. And it's so annoying that one time I make an assumption and I skip a step, and after a week of troubleshooting and 50 emails back and forth, they go, oh, hey, I found the problem. I had a motor spinning the wrong direction. I'm like, why didn't I check that? Moving on. Benjamin Schroeder, thank you for a $10 super chat. First 5-inch build from a crashed pre-build that smoked the ESC and flight controller. Any recommendations on how to mount and space with gummies? I threw a picture in the Patreon live stream chat. Let's go back and find this picture then. Oh, how far back is this picture? Oh, here we go. Let's open up this picture and have a look here. So you're in a tough spot because this is a really slammed build. You do not have a lot of room to work with. Maybe a little. I gotta say, though, that looks like plenty of spacing to me. It looks to me like you've got about 2 millimeters. Well, oh, I see. Hold on a second. Is the ESC... No, that's a spacer. Okay, so the ESC is about 2 millimeters from the bottom plate. And then there's about maybe 3 to 5 millimeters between the flight controller and the ESC. I don't think there's any problem with the spacing of these two boards at all. Now, I might be a little concerned here about this. I can't really 100% see what's going on, but I might be a little concerned about this joint touching these arms here if this shifted. I don't know if that would fry the ESC, but I'd be a little concerned there. You could have just gotten unlucky. Guillermo, are you making trouble? Don't make trouble, Guillermo. I can't see the whole conversation. That spacing looks fine to me. So I would say that whatever fried your flight controller, your ESC, it wasn't the spacing. I don't know what it was, but I don't think it was the spacing. Yeah, what frame is this? Grass Wizard wants to know. Can you tell us the frame? Is it the Moon Goat? It looks like it might be the Moon Goat. I can't 100% tell from here. That vaguely looks like the bottom plate of the Moon Goat. If that is a Moon Goat, the flight controller can slide. Do you know that? If it's a Moon Goat, the flight controller is not in, it's in slots, and so it can slide back and forth. John Goblin thinks it's a GEP-RC Mark IV. I can't really tell. Maybe it slid. They said it's a bind and fly, so it's not a Moon Goat. I don't think they sell a bind and fly Moon Goat. Legendary Sean, thank you for a $5 super chat. Any good long range tutorials? I don't know about that, Sean. Long range is difficult to do because most places it's not legal. So anybody doing it kind of tries to not be too obvious about what they're doing. And a tutorial would make it absolutely impossible to be sort of circumscript about what you're doing. I don't know of a good long-range tutorial. All the information about long range is sort of kept... I mean, if somebody puts one in the comments, I'll approve it, but... Maxim L, thank you for a 5 Canadian super chat. How do I get my configuration back? Okay, well, Maxim left a super chat, so I'm going to give a tiny bit more airtime. So, Maxim, what you need to do is... What flight controller is it? That's the question. That's the question, Falcon. Maxim, rather. Did you say? No, it doesn't look like you said. What flight controller is it? You have to find from the manufacturer. So if we go like Emax Tiny... Oh, see, look at my autocomplete. Look at my autocomplete. Emax Tiny Hawk 2 CLI dump is what I would search. And now here's a Reddit thread asking Tiny Hawk CLI, and we go to the Emax website, and here are the manuals, and then here are the CLIs. So that's the gist of what you need to do. Okay? Maxim, we got to know what quad it is and then find the CLI from the manufacturer or maybe someone else who's asked for it. Okay. If you tell me in the Discord what quad it is, I'll try a little harder to find your actual one. That's my policy. If you leave a super chat, I'll give you slightly more effort. I think that's only fair. Fat Shark, Fat Shark President in the chat says, thanks, your autocomplete did not bring porn sites like other streams. I don't know. That's impossible. Philly Style FPV, thank you for a $2 super chat. 60 to 120 hertz DJI, huge gain. Any thoughts on 90 to 120? I don't know. I think it'll matter more with the latency than the frame rate. 60 to 120 clearly is a noticeable difference. 90 to 120, I don't know. I don't have thoughts about that. I mean, obviously 90 is closer to 120 than 60. But I mean, 60 is okay. I don't feel like the 120 hertz is like makes. I don't think the 120 hertz is as big a deal as the latency, but it's just my take. Jay Young 5200, thanks for a $10 super chat, and Read in the Wind, thank you for a $5 super chat, and we are caught up on super chats. Yay! Let's take some other questions. We had a question in the Discord that I wanted to get. Hang on. Jason Aviator in the Discord. All right. Jason's got a LiPo question. When to retire LiPo batteries? I have a dozen 4S and 6S over 18 months old. Any thoughts? If they fly okay and you're happy with the amount of voltage sag, then just keep flying them. Ultimately, the internal resistance will get to a point where there's excessive voltage sag. So if they're not physically damaged, what I look for is if they don't hold a charge. Like if I charge them up or put them at storage, and then I come back and they've sunk down an excessive amount, then I'm like, okay, time to retire these. If the internal resistance gets too high, like if I've got like a 1,000 to 1,300 milliamp hour pack, and the internal resistance is in like the 15 to 20 to maybe 25 range, that's too high. It's going to perform badly. I probably would get rid of it. But I might still use it as like a goggle battery, you know? But ultimately, the battery performance and the flight time is what's going to tell you if it's time to retire. Brian Lewis wants to know, JB, you had a video recently where you were debugging issues your V-Fly short saver died. Did you figure out what happened? Yeah, the cables, the wires were not silicon wire. They were cheap copper wire, and they got brittle and cracked. And the frickin' people saw it in the video, and they told me in the comments, they're like, Bardwell, the wire broke off. So I just soldered on new XT60 and XT30 leads with good quality silicon wire, and it's good as new. There's another question back here that I thought I wanted to answer. Hold on. Wes Magyar's got a question here. We got a crash. I'm trying to figure out why this happened. My quad just nosed over and crashed. My goggle feed kept going till I hit the ground, but DVR stopped just after nosing over. That's weird. DJI will usually keep goggle DVR as long as you have feed. Let's have a look at what we got here. There may only be so much we can tell, but let's have a look anyway. I don't think there's going to be any sound. And I love that you've included this overlay. This could be helpful. Like we can see that we have a 6S battery with UAV bat 21.8 volts. That's still plenty. We probably didn't. 21.8 divided by 6 is 3.6. We're getting to the end of the pack, but we're probably okay. Let's play it forward. We're doing a turn. So what I'm looking for here is the first time the quad seems to make a movement that doesn't seem commanded by the sticks. Okay? And it's not always easy to tell, but sometimes you can kind of make a guess. He's still flying. See, in that moment where it kind of went, and it froze up, I wondered if he was about to fail safe. But I saw him kind of nose back, and so I know he's still flying. There it goes. Oh, it stopped. We don't have very long, so let's just check here. UAV bat 22.1. Our battery voltage is still fine. It nosed over hard. There was a little shake there. Did you see it? There, little shake. It nosed over. Boom. That little shake sure is interesting. RC signal reads 0, but it just means he's not using the DJI controller. Video signal is 2, and bit rate is 24 megabits per second. But video wouldn't cause any problems. Video wouldn't cause you to fail-safe. This looks like a fail-safe or something. Video wouldn't cause that. We could completely lose video and still keep flying. So this isn't related to the DJI system at all, in my opinion. We got a little shake here. Boom, little shake. And then it tips over. And then stops. I feel like we're analyzing the Zapruder film. It starts to pitch forward, then it shakes, and then it tumbles. I think this looks a lot like a failsafe. I think it looks a lot like a failsafe. Normally, failsafe will occur. When a failsafe occurs, the quad will not spin out. It will gently drop or gently tumble, but it won't go. Bannister Post says on DJI, if I failsafe if video cuts. Are you using the DJI controller? He's not using the DJI controller. We can tell that because RC signal is 0. If he was using the DJI controller, RC signal would not be 0. So he's using some other kind of controller like Crossfire, etc. Actually, he said he was using Express LRS. A loose prop nut. A loose prop nut, I think, would cause a spin. Sometimes a loose prop nut causes a kind of a as it slips, it dips and then catches and comes back. A loose prop nut usually would not cause a slow tumble like this. My thinking is this looks like the props. There was a dip, and then the whole flight controller, like, disarmed. Lost battery power. Lost battery power. I mean, we can't rule that out. We do see that the video continues after the tumble. See, then it stops. So if we had lost battery power, the video would cut off pretty much instantly. And then it's over. I wonder if you have LQ and RSSI. Oh, sorry, wrong scene there. My bad. I wonder if you have LQ and RSSI. What was your LQ and your RSSI? I think it's failsafe. It feels like a failsafe. Esponder and John Coop point out that if you have auto record enabled, the DVR will stop recording as soon as you disarm, and that would explain why it stopped recording, but he still had video in the goggles. Yes, good point. That definitely supports the hypothesis that it is a failsafe. So our best guess is that you failsafed, and then your quad fell out of the air and your DVR stopped because you have auto record enabled. So what receiver are you using, Wes? What receiver? I know you said Express LRS. Which one? OSD doesn't update after the Twitch. The Twitch could be stage 1 failsafe. No, that was pretty fast. Yeah. ExpressLRS is pretty hard to failsafe. If you're running 500 hertz and you're not using a high output power, theoretically you could get yourself into trouble. My recommendation is if you're running 500 hertz, you probably want to be using 1 watt. Oh, well, there you go. West Magyar is using the Beta FPV Nano receiver. I just don't use that receiver. Just don't. And this is where, like, the 85% of people who have no problem come out of the woodwork and say, what do you mean? I'm having no trouble. I've heard, like, I feel like the Beta FPV ExpressLRS receivers, especially the Nano receiver with the little flat antenna, there are just issues with them. I've had people reporting that they couldn't get it to bind, and then they switched to another receiver, and it's fine. Just don't use that receiver. Use the Happy model. That's a good one. That's what I would say. Sunrise Water Media. Yes, if you turn off auto record, you can start and stop recordings regardless of arming status. Absolutely. That's what I would say to do. Rumpelstiltskin says that the first batch of the Beta FPV Nano receiver was faulty. Exactly. And the problem is with Beta FPV is you just never know when you're going to get one of those bad batches. So, yeah. People are pointing out that Beta FPV receiver is one of the only ones with a amplifier on board. Fair enough. Fair enough. John Goblin loves them. If they're working for you, more power to you, I guess. Oh, it's the micro receiver that has a low noise amplifier. The Nano is too small. I don't know. I don't know. So many people have used them and loved them, but then there's enough people who have had just bad failures that it makes me question how reliable they are. I would say try a different brand of receiver or try a different receiver. And if you're running at 500 hertz, you definitely want to be on 1 watt if you can. Lil ICY says, can you recommend a store where I can buy everything for FPV if I am in England? Well, it's tough because everything's out of stock forever. But one of the stores, 2 stores you could look at are unmannedtechshop.co.uk and quadcopters.co.uk are 2 stores in the UK that you can buy from. What about 250 hertz, Wes? I mean, it's a spectrum, man. It's a spectrum. The lower the hertz, the better the range you're going to get. It's a spectrum. Hobby.RC? Your FPV, great. Oh, Mads Tech is here. He'll know all the UK shops. Yes. Wales is part of the United Kingdom, so currently, right? It's still part of the United Kingdom, right? I hear about Scottish independence. Like Scotland's like, F you, we're going back to the EU. I wonder. How are the Welsh doing about that? Never mind. Let's not talk about that. As far as I know, there's not a big Welsh independence movement. I could be wrong. I'm aware that Wales is currently part of the UK. Pretty much everything I know about Wales comes from my child watching Fireman Sam. I mean, it's all positive. It's all positive. You know it's a good beer when there's like chunks in the bottom. Wow. You're getting down to the bottom of the glass and there's chunks. That's good. Mads Tech is head of the Welsh independence movement. Mads Tech, it's funny how different cultures have different standards for what is rude and abrasive. Americans, well known for being incredibly rude and abrasive. I have the impression, Australians, similarly known for, telling it like it is. Mads Tech made what I thought was a very courteous, balanced, polite, and yet firm response to Drew Camden on his live stream, saying, Drew, listen, you are right that we don't have any right to that information that you don't want to give us. And yet, Drew, the flip side of that is that you don't have an entitlement to our money. And if you're going to ask us for our money, then we have the right to ask you for information. And if you don't want to give us that information, then with all due respect, sir, we don't have to give you that money. I was like, damn, Mads Tech, because Facebook is usually just this shit show of flaming and just blah, 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 and Mads Tech brings a cool love. And later I was talking to Ian, and he was like, I got a little angry and I might have lost my cool. And I was like, that's you losing your cool? Okay. I don't know if that's just him or if that's a symptom of the Welsh people in general. Espander wants to know, how is the Fat Snail VTX mounted on the quads? It's 25 millimeter mounting. It's 25 millimeter mounting. I don't know how they had it mounting, but it was 25 millimeter. I mean, compare Ian to Ciati, or even me on a bad day. If you want to see some swearing. Or Blunty. Sheesh. Blunty does not hold back. Wow. That's why, I'm happy. I'm happy. I don't always agree with him, but I always appreciate having him in the room. And when he goes off on a topic, I usually, even if I don't necessarily go off, I usually see where he's coming from. It's nice. He really had some strong words about that whole release. Some strong words. I think arrogant was one of them. Anyway. Upcoming Chris wants to know, how does one use throttle limiting in Betaflight to tame a quad? Absolutely. We can answer that question if I can find my spare flight controller that I use for demonstration purposes. To do a throttle limiting in Betaflight, start by going to the PID tuning tab and then go to motor output limit. Right here. See my mouse moving? Hey, here in the lower right, motor output limit, and you just lower that number from 100% to 75%. I wouldn't go much below about 60, 65%. But just knock that number down, and that's how you do it. Cool Cat says, there's a rumor that Mads Tech's heart rate went from 65 BPM to 73 BPM. It's a crazy world we're living in, folks. Arrogant or ignorant was what Blunty said. Yes. Well done. Crazy Car Channel says there is a virtual flight controller on Betaflight for demo purposes. Yeah, but it doesn't always work. It doesn't. There's some things that it doesn't work well with, and I just like to use a real flight controller. My Cocoon asks, I'm losing my video signal really fast. 10 or 20 meters. Wow, I swapped the antenna, same issue. Found out I was flying without my free sky antennas. Could it cause interference? Unlikely. Not impossible, but I think unlikely. Nothing should cause you to lose signal 20 meters away with the Caddx Vista. That doesn't make any sense. The chances of the Vista itself being damaged are extremely low. You could have a bad antenna on the Vista, but you swapped the antenna. The next thing I would do is probably check the antennas on the goggles. Do you have more than one quad you could test? That would help you see if it was, in fact, your Vista or something else. There's no pit mode on the Vista. There's no pit mode on the Vista. Mad Max says the Vista signal issues are nearly always a dodgy UFL plug. Power saving mode on the Vista, low power mode. Low power mode, I mean, you definitely need to see unlocked when you arm. You could try turning temperature protection off. I still think you should get more than 20 meters, though. That's really small. My Cocoon, I think you gotta find a way to test a second Vista unit. There's no way to know whether it's your goggles or your Vista unless you test a second unit. And he confirms it goes unlocked. I mean, I want to say, well, turn your output power up. But honestly, 20 meters, on the lowest output power possible, you should still get 20 meters. More than 20 meters. Eric Espausen wants to know, can Express LRS block HD0 video signal? No, I don't think so. Express LRS uses 2.4 gigahertz or 900 megahertz, but usually 2.4. HD0 uses 5.8 gigahertz. They should not have any significant interference at all. Alrighty. Have we not had any more super... No, we haven't. We haven't had a super chat in a half hour. We got a burst of them. And then... no super chats. More time for the regular chat and the Discord people. This is the time. This is the time when I do the brand integration. Joke's on you, I don't do brand integrations. I don't do brand integrations. Instead of doing sponsor spots where I talk about NordVPN or Squarespace, instead I'm going to take just a second and do a brand integration for myself. If you guys are looking for parts suggestions, please check out fpvknowitall.com, my website, fpvknowitall.com, home of the ultimate FPV shopping list, which has recommended parts in various categories. It's not the only good stuff you could possibly buy, but it is some good stuff that we have curated in various categories. I say we, I've been getting some help lately from Aaron Ciotti, helping me do the micros. We're working on a Cinewhoop page now. And we're continually, we have a weekly meeting, if you can believe that. And a Trello. It's like practically a real company. Where we go over this stuff, see if there's any new stuff that needs to be added, old stuff that needs to be taken off. And whenever people ask me for product recommendations, I start by referring them to this page. And all of these links, almost all of these links are affiliate links. That's how we make our money. There's no advertising. You see there's no advertising on this page? Yeah, I could run ads on this, but I don't want to. I don't like it. But they're affiliate links, and so when you click those links, I make a little bit of money. Anyway, I just want to let you know that's out there, and if you are interested in using it, sure does mean a lot. We keep continually updating it every week. And that is it. That's your brand integration. You're gonna have the Cinewhoop page done for me by Wednesday? That's just what I think a boss would say. Zoe Gandorf wants to know, Does anybody know something about the range of the new Fat Shark HD? No, no one knows. No one's done a proper range test because there is no product. All we had was a sample given to us by the company with non-feature complete firmware and glitches, full of glitches. Which, okay, I mean, when they said they were doing a big product announcement, I thought they would have a finished product. But all right. For whatever reason, they decided to go with a product announcement with an unfinished product with lots of glitches. Fair enough. Still exciting, but it means we can't draw too many conclusions until we have an actual finished product. And here's the thing. If they ship a goggle in June, as they say they will, I don't see how they're going to have a feature-complete goggle by June, given what I saw at Rampage. It doesn't seem... If they had a completely feature-complete goggle right now, I think it would take them a month at least to bug test it and get it out to their beta testers and do whatever they do to make sure it didn't have bugs and was performing correctly. So the fact that they didn't have a feature-complete firmware at Rampage, I don't see how they could possibly have a feature-complete and thoroughly bug-tested firmware by June. That's fine. Lots of people still felt like they were like, this is exciting. I want to be in on it. I'm putting my money down. Nothing wrong with that. But my point is that when you ask questions like how much range will it have, the range that it has in June may not be the best possible range that it could have because I don't think the firmware is going to be done. And I think there's still going to be working features and bug fixes. You know, well, I'm still going to get the goggles and I'm still going to, you know, do whatever kind of testing I can do on them. But at the end of the day, I think that it's going to be 4 to 6 months before we really know, you know, how this system stacks up. Abraham, thanks for a $5 super chat. Guilt me into feeding you some more. Yes. Super Deluxe, thanks for a $10 super chat. Bardwell plus Blunty equals Bluntwell. I'm more like, I think I'm more of a beer than a blunt person. But hey. Dr. Drones, thanks for a $10 super chat. No question, just a super chat. Oh, thank you. How do I stop sending it when I don't have enough postage? Asks Lost Sync. Thanks for a $5 super chat. I crashed too hard to get enough stick time to crash less. Lost Sync, you got to build more quads, man. That's the answer. If you are the kind of person who cannot resist sending it, you just have to build more quads and break more. You're going to break more quads. Practice in the sim. I don't know. Jeckley says, Christ, are we back talking about Fat Shark and... Again, can we please stop beating that horse and move on to some other topic? Yes, we were talking about something else for like an hour. Then people asked a question. Sorry that people are more interested in that question than you are. Just is what it is. Archimedes wants to know, why do you still have the Menace RC Invader on the website? They released the Pico patch a year ago. It's $3 more, but it's 9 dBi compared to 6 dBi, and it's smaller. 2 reasons, Archimedes. The first is it's very difficult to find a linear patch antenna, and I think is that why the Invader is there? The other reason is just some sections get updated faster than others, but I'll definitely take a look. It's a directional antenna. Why is the Menace RC Invader? Oh, I know why. The reason the Invader is there is because it's extremely difficult to find an inexpensive patch antenna. So the Invader is $13. It was $9. It was cheaper. Like the Luminaire Axie patch is like, how much is it? If I vaguely recall, $25. Yeah. When I was making this page, I wanted an inexpensive patch antenna, and like the Menace RC Invader was literally the only patch antenna I could even find for like less than $15. The Pico patch is 9 dBi compared to 6 dBi. Yeah, that seems fair. I would work with a 9 dBi antenna. It's not linear. No, we don't want a linear. We don't want a linear one. I was wrong when I said I thought I remembered it was linear. MNSRC Viper linear patch antenna. No. Which is where is it? Invader. Oh, I see the new GetFPV website is up. Oh, $35. No, thank you. I can't even find this damn thing. Here's the Viper. That's the same price. That's the Viper. That's the linear one. Pico patch. For $15, I think I would swap that one in. It's still way cheaper. All right. Let's just stick this on the Trello list of to-do items for Joshua. Look at them all. Look at them all. Look at all those items I haven't done. See how I have the longest list? Yeah. If I were accountable to anyone else, I'd be in big trouble right now for not doing this stuff. Mwahahaha. Yeah. Alrighty, I'm sure I'll get to that soon. Stefano Marcone, thank you for 2 Swiss francs. When's the next Betaflight video coming? I apologize, guys, that has gotten interrupted. Rampage really threw me off. And then I had the Tiny Trainer videos, which were scheduled with FPV Crate and had to take priority. I will be working on that soon and expect to see that this week. I really want to finish that series out. I'm very close to done. The PID tuning tab, I got to tell you, has got me a little intimidated because I don't know how I'm going to cover the PID tuning tab without doing a 17-hour PID tuning tutorial. And that a 17-hour PID tuning tutorial is not right for this topic, but yeah. So we got to cover that tab, but not do a PID tuning tutorial, and it's scaring me a little bit. Yeah. Let's see here. Doug McLeod, thank you for a $5 Canadian. I switched my flight controller and camera, messed up BL Heli, and smoked the motors. Now I have video lines at 0 RPM. Could a bad motor cause this? Doug, a bad motor can't cause video interference when you're not armed. A bad motor or ESC or some problem like that would cause video noise when you arm. I don't know how switching your flight controller and camera could smoke your motors. So there's aspects of this story, Doug, that we're missing. I don't know what they are. But to answer the direct question that you asked, a bad motor wouldn't cause video noise at 0 RPM. Double A asks, does that mean PID tuning in 4.3 is tough? Double A, no. PID tuning in 4.3 is easier than it's ever been. But the point of the series I'm doing is to go through all the options and talk about every single option in the page. And so if I was to go fully in depth on all of the sliders and stuff in the PID tuning tab, I don't think it would be the best way to present that information. The best way to PID tune, in my opinion, the best way to teach PID tuning is to give you a generic procedure. And this is what Chris Rosser and UAV Tech have done, and I've done in our tutorials. You say, step 1, set your filters. Step 2, raise the master PID slider. Step 3, raise the P gain. Step 4, raise the D gain. You know, that you give a series of steps, and you have kind of a tripwire, if you will, that say, look, raise this slider until this starts to happen, then stop, then do the next step. And it gets people in the ballpark of a good tune, but they don't necessarily understand why they're doing what they're doing. And if your quad happens to have some problem where it doesn't fit in this sort of lane that you're being steered down, then you won't know what to do. And that's what's tricky about PID tuning. Mr. D says, I still don't like using sliders. What if I want to raise D on pitch but not roll? No problem, Mr. D. Mr. D, there is a pitch roll balance slider in Betaflight 4.3. So like if we look right here, they fixed that. It's really good. Oh, wrong window. So here we are. And we do have expert mode. Yeah, we have expert mode turned on. Where is the balance? Hey, shut up. Yeah. So I see what they've done. There's no balance. So what we've got here is we've got tracking, which raises all three axes. Actually, you can choose to just do pitch roll and you can have manual numbers for yaw. But you can say, assume you're doing roll, pitch, and yaw. We can raise the tracking, which is the P and the I gains. But then if you need to adjust the pitch axis separately, you can separately lower or raise the pitch axis. And I think this is actually, there's a reason why people like to tune this way. Because, like, the PIDs depend on the weight distribution of the quad. Right? If the weight distribution of the quad is perfectly symmetrical, then you would need symmetrical PIDs on both pitch and roll. Right? So thinking about it as I'm going to tune to a certain point and then I'm going to adjust based on the sort of distribution of pitch and roll, it matches the physical principles that are happening underneath. And working with a fixed number, it's like, if you show me a number, are you higher or lower than the defaults? Have you raised your P gains or have you lowered them? I don't know. But if you tell me your slider is at 1.2, like that is a lot easier for me to process than you giving me a specific number. You have to trust that the devs have made the underlying defaults correct. And you have to know that those underlying defaults are most correct for a 5-inch H geometry mini quad. So like, what do I know about the default PIDs? The default PIDs are tuned for a 5-inch. They're obviously designed to work with other sizes, but they're optimally tuned probably for a 5-inch, and probably its weight is more stretched out on the pitch axis and narrower on the roll axis, because that's how the weight of most 5-inch mini quads is. And that means, like, if I look at the default PIDs, you can see, well, what do you see? You can see that the pitch axis is slightly higher than the roll axis, right? So we've got slightly stretched out pitch axis and slightly narrower roll axis. And then any quad that I'm working with, I can tune based on that. I can say, well, I've got a bigger quad. Okay. Well, my master multiplier needs to go up. Your master multiplier almost always needs to go up a little bit just because they're very conservative with their tune. My quad is more symmetrical. Well, then probably we need to bring the pitch axis down a little bit. Well, that's just the D gain. But you asked, what if I just want to raise the D gain on pitch? Okay, boom. There you go. Your pitch D gain has gone up. It's not perfect. Like if I want to raise just the roll D gain, then what I need to do is raise this one and lower this one by a corresponding amount. It's a little annoying. But, yeah, it works. You get it done. KCFPV asks, should I downgrade my quad from Betaflight RC6 since it's got an ICM gyro? I haven't had any issues. KCFPV, if you flashed it and you don't have any issues, then I think you're fine. Yeah. Oh, I'm being told that I forgot to switch over to the screen while I was doing that, some part of that talk. Sorry about that. Jovo Lukic, thank you for 20 Swiss francs. I was not going to guess that that was a Swiss name. I see that C at the end of the last name, and I think Poland. Well, anyway, I broke the USB connector. I ripped the pads off. Tried the USB rescue firmware with CP210 adapter on TXRX. No DFU mode in Betaflight. Flight controller in DFU mode. Do I have to buy ST-Link or am I doing something wrong? Are you sure it's I think it's an FTDI adapter that you need, not a CP210. Yovo, I think you need an FTDI adapter. That is my belief. The CP210 would only work if there was a CP210 chip on the flight controller, and none of them have a CP210 chip anymore. I don't think it's ST-Link either. I think it's an FTDI. The other thing is that, let me just confirm this. FTDI. Yes, okay. So Oscar Leong confirms it's an FTDI adapter that you need. Surely you already have one, but if you don't, it's a good thing to have around. The other thing is that if you use the bootloader button to put it into bootloader mode, I think it will go into bootloader on the USB port. You need to get it into bootloader mode by catching the bootloader window on that FTDI adapter. So I don't think you want to hold down the bootloader button. But Oscar Leong has more about that tutorial. Mystery D wants to know if Emu Flight is still being worked on. I don't know the answer to that. I mean, we could certainly look. We could ask Kevin Plaisir if he was here, but he's not here as far as I know. Not today. When was the last release? Was 040 in August. Let's look at actions. What's happened? The last action was 2 days ago. Bo Brewski made a pull request. When was the last time anyone... No, Quick Flash was active 9 days ago. Improved peak estimation. So it does seem like it's still being worked on. I was going to say, if someone's just doing pull requests, that could just be anybody. But it looks like Quick Flash was synchronizing pull requests as early as 9 days ago. Quick Flash, improved peak estimation. Bo Brewski does seem to be able to synchronize pull requests. Target update, Nerdcopter, let's see. Build Emu Flight by Nerdcopter. Testing for HD0. They are working on it. I don't know how close they are to another release, but they are working on it. Yeah. They're busy. So, there you go. Emu Flight is still being worked on. Version 1.0 is coming soon. Anthony Greco, thanks for a $10 super chat. Just want to say thanks for the website. It's been amazing for research building. Thanks for all you're doing and keep up the great content. Thank you so much, Anthony Greco, for those kind words. Slappy FPV, Slappy1 FPV, thanks for a $5 super chat. Just saying what's up. And Dax, thanks for a $10 super chat. Just giving back for all you do. Thank you very much for your generosity. Really appreciate you guys. We've got about 10 minutes left in the stream. And then Aaron Ciotti is going to be streaming at 1 p.m. No, at 3 p.m., sorry. He's going to be streaming. He'll start posting the link to his channel and his stream. In the meantime, we'll take a few more questions. Will there be a Betaflight RC7? Steve Jobs wants to know. Yes, because RC6 still has this bug with the gyro. So they're going to need an RC7 to fix that. So we're still a ways off from a final Betaflight 4.3 any minute now. Any month now. Any week now. How long has 4.3 been in the works? Jesus. When did 4.2 release? When did 4.2 release? It was a long time ago. Just in time for summer 2020. Sheesh, June 2020. Wow, it's been almost 2 years. Everybody who says Betaflight updates too often. There you go. Now you can shut up. for now. People want me to talk about the HD0 Event VRX. Oh. What is that? It looks like it's got like 4 HDMI outs. Is that what it is? That's cool. That's kind of cool. Where are the other antennas? Are they built into the box? Garda Rotor wants to know if an iFlight Commando 8 review is coming. As soon as I get one. I think they said they'd ship me one. So there you go. Alrighty. KCFPV wants to know, would you recommend higher KV with lower pitched props or vice versa? Between 1700 and 1800 kV for a 6S 5-inch with a session, can't decide what to pick. I would take 1800 kV because I think I would like a little more top end. Frankly, the difference between 17 and 1800 is not going to be night and day. You might could notice, but it's not going to be night and day. So don't like stress and overthink it. I would take 1800 kV. 1700 is, I think, a little better suited to slow cruising. But if you want something, or maybe 6-inch props, but if you want something a little punchier with a little more top end, I would go 18 or even 1900 kV. And then if you want to, make up the difference with the prop pitch. But 1800 is not particularly high kV for 6S 5-inch props. So that's what I would say. With 1800 kV, you can pretty much run any 5-inch prop you like. I mean, there will be effects if you go to a very high pitch prop like a 51499. You're gonna notice it. But you're not going to really, like, if you're running 2100 kV on 6S, you're going to have to be a little more careful about your prop selection. You might end up going down to a 4.9-inch prop or a very low pitch 5.1-inch prop. But if you're running 1800 kV, you basically can have your pick. And as Ciotti points out, going from 1800 to 1700 kV with a motor output limit is trivial. It is, let's see, 1800, 1700 out of 1800 is 94%. So you would just take a 94% throttle or motor output limit and you're good. If you need to go like, if you're trying to go from 6S down to 4S and you need a 66% throttle limit, that's a big whack. Like on this Rotor Riot solder-free build, it came with 2400 kV motors, but it came preset to automatically limit the throttle if you run a 6S battery. And I asked about it, and I said, hey, I'm good to run 6S on this. They're like, yeah, you're good. And I was smoking motors. I smoked so many motors. Like, I would hit an obstacle, it would surge, and then it would just fall out of the air. And the first time it happened, I thought, that's weird. And the second time it happened, I thought, that's really weird. And I thought maybe because I didn't use the arm skids, the motor screws were too long, and this is my fault. So I replaced all the motors, I backed the screws out, I used shorter screws, and I put it in the air again, and I smoked another motor. And I said, okay, I need to be using 4S batteries on this thing. Later, I talked to them, and they said that they had started using a different capacitor on the 6S builds. And that was helping with the smoking motor. So they said they're aware of the issue, but they weren't aware of it at the time they shipped mine, or maybe, I don't know. But my point is that if you go with a 65% throttle limit to try to go from 2400 kV down to like 1700 kV, that's not going to be, that you could get yourself in trouble. It might work. If you have a big enough capacitor and a really good ESC, it might work, but you also might end up just smoking motors one after the other. But if you're going with a 95% throttle limit, nah, it doesn't matter. You're good. You're just good. It doesn't matter. Yeah, so. Bjorn FPV, thank you for 5 Swiss francs. Bjorn, I said Jovo Lukic did not seem like a Swiss name, but Bjorn FPV, not to be racist, does seem like a Swiss name. Why is it so hard to lap time DJI? 2 reasons. The DJI frequencies do not overlap exactly with the race band frequencies. So the lap timer is not looking in the right place at the right frequency for the video signal. That's one reason. The other reason is that the goggles also transmit. So as your quad is flying around, the lap timer could pick up a transmission from your goggle and miscue a lap. And the third reason is that the output power changes as the quad flies around. It goes up and down dynamically. I know you've got it set to 25 milliwatts, but it changes. And according to people who run races, this can cause the signal strength threshold that tells it when the quad is passing the gate, it can throw it off. That's the answer. That's why it's so hard to lap time DJI. All of these problems are solvable. Swedish? CHF is Swiss francs. Not Swedish. If I'm wrong about that, I'm shocked. No, those are Swiss francs. Oh, but you're saying Bjorn is a Swedish name, not a Swiss name. Wow. That's it. That's it. I'm going to be canceled now. I'm sorry. I need to get my teary YouTuber apology ready to go. You guys, I messed up. You know, I have great respect for the Swedish people and the Swiss people. I know the difference. I'm sorry. I know Björn is a Swedish name, not a Swiss name. I'm sorry, all Swedish, Swish, they all look alike. All Norwegians. Are Swiss people Norwegians? Oh, great. Ghost Rider, thanks for a €10 super chat. Did I miss your super chat, Ghost Rider? Oh, man. I see we're at 3 p.m., Siati. Hold on. If I missed a super chat, I got to go long. Ghost Rider, I do not see a super chat from you, sir. Ghost Rider, you did not leave me a super chat. I don't know why you think you left me a super chat. I appreciate the €10, Ghost Rider. I don't see a super chat from you, so I apologize. And at this point, it is now 3 p.m. and I'm going to be signing off. So unfortunately, you need to email me. All right. Well, I hope I haven't actually pissed anybody off with my insensitive comments about Swiss and Swedish and so forth. If so, I'm sure I will hear about it next week and on Facebook, where you talk about what a jerk I am. But for now, I'm going to get out of here. Have a great stream, Siati. Thank you for coming out, everybody. I will see you tomorrow for the stream, and we will talk about Fat Shark some more, apparently, much to everyone's chagrin. Good night, everybody. Oh, wait. Ghost Rider asked, did you order a Dominator? Why don't I see that, Ghost Rider? Hold on. Why don't I see that? There, Ghost Rider, I swear to God, it's not there. But anyway, I don't know why it's not there, dude. But no, I didn't order a Dominator. But I didn't order a Dominator because Rotoride's probably going to give me one. So why should I spend $600 of my own money when I can get it for free? I mean, that's a lot of money. There's times when I buy stuff on principle, but for $600, I'll take a chance that you think I'm not being as, I mean, like, when I buy stuff with my own money, then I can say, I bought this with my own money, and therefore I am completely objective. And the truth is, no one is completely objective, ever. And when I get stuff for free, also, I'm just as objective pretty much as when I buy it with my own money, but it's just all about appearances. But for $600, I probably don't want to spend $600 of my own money to slightly increase the odds that a few people think I'm more objective than I would have been anyway. So if Rotor Riot will give me the goggle for free, I will happily take it and review it. I didn't order it. That's the answer to your super chat. Thank you for, I don't know why I don't see it, but thank you for leaving it. All right, that's it, folks. We're out of here. Bye, everybody.